and just like you, I am new to Dilijan. I'm super excited about teaching here, and I will be teaching geography and ESS. But today we're talking about geography. So I've made a little presentation that I'm going to show you guys. If you have any questions throughout my presentation, please just unmute and talk. As I'm presenting, I can't see what's happening with the chat and so on, or if you're showing your hands in the video. So yeah, just speak up. So great, so you should be able to see my screen now. If you can't, then please speak up. So first of all, you might be sitting and wondering, why should you take geography? And Lily is one of the DP2 students taking geography, and I just let her talk a bit about her experience with geography.
We can't hear anything.
Oh, that's problematic. So yeah, I actually don't know how to fix that. 2 seconds. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Yours, the quality might not be that good, but let's give it a try. I'm sure that's not very loud enough for you guys. All right, share little links with you, and then you are more than welcome to watch the videos afterwards. I actually have quite a few videos to show you guys, so that it might cause a bit of a problem. So we're going to cut it a bit shorter, and then you guys can have a chance afterwards to watch the video bits. So let's just go ahead. So there's 2 videos. There's one of Lily and then one from William. And as I said, I will share the links with you afterwards. So the agenda of what I'm going to talk about is first, what is geography? Then we're going to do a Kahoot quiz, where there was also a video included, but I will let you guys watch the video afterwards. And then I'm going to talk a bit about what the IB diploma geography looks like. And then you will have a chance to ask some questions. So geography is the study of the world. And that might sound very broad, but it actually also is. So basically, geography focuses on the relationship between people and the environment. And we focus on the physical properties of the Earth, but also how human societies are spread across it. So for example, in physical geography, we look at how mountains are created and how nature is different across the world. In human geography, we look more at how humans shape their environment. That could be, for example, through agriculture. So how do humans produce their food? How do they make sure that there is food enough for them to survive? We also look at how humans shape their own environment. So an example of this could be the built environment. So to the right, you can see a photo of some houses and apartments. So we look at, well, how do the environments which humans create to live in, how does that affect people? And how does it affect the environment? So at the moment, there is a big process going on in which people are moving from rural areas to the city, which is called urbanization. So that's a process that we look at in geography. Like what does it mean when more and more people decide to live in cities, both for the life in the cities, but also in terms of how it influences the rural environment, and how people can continue to have the food production that is needed to supply for the cities. We also look at how our current society and economic development is contributing to more and more pollution, and the kind of pollution that you guys are probably very familiar with, which has been in the news quite a bit in the past few years, is greenhouse gases. So through the combustion of fossil fuels, there's emitted greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which has big consequences both for humans, but also for nature, which was, for example, seen in the Australian wildfires, which occurred earlier this year. It always seems a bit far away with everything that's going on with COVID at the moment. But it is something that is of big concern to the whole world, and is also something that is very much focused on in geography. So geography is also multidisciplinary. So you can imagine if we want to focus on all these different aspects of the world, we need to look at it from very different perspectives. So that could be from geology, anthropology, international relations, sociology, urban studies, agronomy, political science, ecology. So all these different aspects we are integrating into geography and using these ways of knowing in a geographic way. So looking at it in a spatial way with a focus on spatial interactions. So that's the next thing that geography does, is that it focuses on spatial interaction between places. So it looks at how different places around the world interact and what are the processes that causes this. So here I have a map of the world, and I'm curious to know if there's anybody who has some ideas about what this map is showing. Can I hear some suggestions?
It looks like it's showing sea routes.
Yep, exactly. So basically what this is kind of showing is world trade. And world trade is one of those things that has had a huge impact on the world and societies around the world. And it's some of those things that has really, since like basically the beginning of history, trade has been one of those major contributing factors to how societies develop. And in today's world, where we have more and more globalization occurring, trade is becoming more and more important, and is also one of those things that we want to look at in geography. So when we are studying geography, we can decide to look at these spatial interactions on a global level, but we can also do it on a local level. So you can kind of see here in the background that we have some local people living in this area, but we also have the results of the huge amount of trade that is occurring in the world. One of those things could be plastic pollution. So how does world trade, how does the globalization result in an increased plastic pollution in the world? And how does that affect local livelihoods? And plastic pollution is one of those things that is really showing its global impact, where we're now finding plastic more and more places throughout the world. So now there's a little Kahoot quiz. So I'm just quickly going to share the link with you guys. If you go to kahoot.it, I'm also just going to share it here in the chat in a second. So if you try to go to this website, and then enter the PIN code that is shown here on the screen. Great, Martin is here, Maria is here. Damn, you guys are fast, good job. All right, we've got 3 players so far. I can see there is 11 people here in the group, so we've still got some people to join. Welcome to Paulina. Welcome, Bea. Welcome, Lager. Josh. So we have a few people missing. Just gonna give them half a minute to get on. All right. So this quiz is composed of 3 questions. That's kind of gonna check how up to date you are on global trends that is happening at the moment, which are all very relevant to geography. So we're just gonna start it here. So the first question, how have deaths from natural disasters changed over the last centuries? Have they almost doubled, remained the same, or almost halved? And if you're familiar to Kahoot, is about answering right, but it's also about being quick. All right, so we got 2 who got the right answer, almost halved. All right, and Bea's on top. Time for the next question. How long has the average 30-year-old woman spent in school? 7 years, 5 years, or 3 years? All right, 7 years. Great, and Bea still on top. How did the percentage of people living in extreme poverty change over the last 20 years? Did they almost double, remain the same, or almost halved? I don't know if you almost, you can maybe already see a bit of a trend occurring in these questions, so that might be able to help you indicate what is the right answer. All right, perfect, almost halved. All right, let's see who's on top. Great, yeah, good job. Good job to Josh and Paulina as well. So the next part of a little presentation here was to show you a little video explaining more about these 3 questions. So I highly recommend you guys to watch it afterwards, because it makes the whole quiz make a bit more sense. But basically, just a quick recap. The video is by Hans Rosling, who is a Swedish physician and also statistician. And the point of the video is that the world is actually doing a lot better than we think. And something that is very important if we want to make the world better is that the first step is to think about the future. The first step to think about the future is to know about the present. So the whole idea behind the video is that if we want to change the world, if we want to make it better, then we need to know, well, how are things doing now? Both in terms of how things are not going so good, but also in terms of how things are going good. He gives the example of, for example, some people can find it very hopeless to eradicate poverty. But as you guys just have shown, poverty has halved recently, which kind of shows that we can actually do something about some of these global issues. So the whole point of geography is to know about the different challenges that we are facing in the world. And then by knowing the problems that we have now, we can then think about, okay, how could we improve them? And that way, geography relates very much to UWC and addressing global challenges. So as many of you are probably familiar with, the UWC mission statement, we are here to unite people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. And one of those ways that we can do this is by learning more about geography. And you might also know some of the UWC values. So we have celebration of difference, we have respect for the environment, and we have international and intercultural understanding, all of which is very relevant to geography. Some of you have also maybe heard about the Sustainable Development Goals, which is a series of 17 goals which the UN has decided upon is something that we want to accomplish before 2030. And the far majority of all these goals is something that we touch upon in geography. So for example, how do we reduce poverty? How do we make sure that we can eradicate hunger? How do we lessen the impact of climate change? All these different aspects is something that we focus on in geography. So a quick recap about the syllabus in geography. So we have the core syllabus, which is the part of the syllabus which everybody takes, no matter whether they take standard level or higher level. And the first part of the core syllabus is population distributions and changing populations. And that's the part where we look at how people are distributed around the world, how populations are changing in terms of population growth, but also aging of populations, and how these changing dynamics of populations change how cities are developed. Then in the global climate vulnerability and resilience part of the syllabus, we look at climate change, both in terms of how climate change is coming about, like the impact of, for example, greenhouse gases, as I mentioned earlier, but also very much the impact of climate change on different parts of the world. Then the third part and last part of the core syllabus is global resource consumption and security. And this part looks at the different resources that we are using as a society, how this has changed over time and how this is different across the world. As some of you probably know, that some places of the world is using a lot more resources than other places of the world. So we're looking at it in that regard. But we're also looking at it from a perspective of, okay, what can we then do about it? So one part of that is, for example, circular economy, which is an approach to using resources in a more sustainable manner. You might be able to remember the term reduce, reuse, recycle. So that kind of is built from the idea of circular economy. Throughout all these different topics, we're going to look at it also from the perspective of the Sustainable Development Goals, which I mentioned earlier. The high level extension goes a bit more into focus on globalism and how globalism is affecting different parts of the world. So the first part of the extension is power, places, and networks, which look at the powerful international organizations that are currently shaping the way that the world is changing and developing, or maybe even not developing. So that an example of that could be the WHO, it could be the IMF, it could be the FAO. So looking at how these different organizations is built and what different impact they have on the world. Then in the human development and diversity, we look at how different cultures around the world are impacted by globalization and development. And then the final part, we look at global risk and resilience, which is basically how globalization are impacting our societies and the environment. In the final part of the syllabus, then we have the option to cover some different themes. So standard level will cover 2 themes and higher level will cover 3 themes. And these different themes vary greatly, and I'll recommend you to look at the IB website to see what different kinds of options there are. But it is within these optional themes that it's possible to include more physical geography. So I mentioned earlier, geography is kind of split up into 2 different parts. and human geography is the one that we focus on the most, given that this is part of group 3 and not group 4. But in the options, there is an opportunity to include more of physical geography by, for example, looking at geophysical hazards such as volcanoes and tsunamis, earthshakes. It could also be looking at the oceans or fresh water. So that's a place there to dive more into those aspects. Another big part of geography in general and also in the IB is fieldwork. So depending on which options we cover during geography, there is a wide range of options for fieldwork. And given the place that we are, it's a unique opportunity to get outside of campus and go and investigate some of the stuff that we're learning in class in our local environment. Obviously, right now it's a bit problematic with COVID, but we hope as time passes, it's going to be easier. And for sure, in your second year, it'll be a better chance to go out and do some very interesting things. So over here to the left, you can see people investigating a part of a river. And in the middle, it's more of a focus on geology. And then to the right, it's a focus on interviews and questionnaires. So there's also a wide range of skills that are associated with doing geography. All right. I will open up for some questions. You guys have anything that you are in doubt about?
Yeah, so I do actually have a question about presentation. So as far as I understood, the syllabus mostly focuses on environmental geography and how different environmental factors have affected like the world and so on. So my question is basically why we should like choose geography over environmental systems and societies. Like what is the main difference between the two subjects and their perspectives? Thank you.
That's a really good question, Maria. And thank you for bringing it up because it was something that I would like to mention as well. So I both teach geography and ESS. So I have a pretty good idea of what the different subjects can and can't do. And the way that I see it, geography offers a more of a human-centered perspective, whereas ESS is more of a natural science perspective. In ESS, there's not that much of a focus on societies and human organizations and stuff like that. It is very much like, how do humans impact the environment and how can we investigate this impact? Whereas geography, we're trying to look at a bit more the processes that's happening within society that are causing these impacts. And that is also shown in the way that, for example, fieldwork in ESS is more lab-based. So there's a lot of different labs you can do within ESS, whereas in geography, we don't do that much labs. We go more out into cities or villages or different places and look at the social aspects. But geography and ESS is very similar. Did I cover it in some way, Maria?
Yes, thank you.
Great. I think while I have you guys here, I'm just going to share the links with you. And if you guys have any questions in the meantime, feel free to jump in. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would definitely like to take a higher level geography, but I would like to go into environmental sciences. That's like my main focus area at the moment. I'm not 100%, but so would you say a combination of geography and ESS would be better, or a combination of geography and biology? Or does like a combination of geography and biology kind of cover ESS?
There's a lot of similarities of what is being covered in geography and ESS, and some students really like that because that means that you kind of get repeated some of the stuff that you learn. And that way it makes the subjects a bit easier and the workload a bit easier. I think if I were in your shoes, I would decide to take geography and then physics or chemistry or biology. Like environmental science is a very broad subject also in university afterwards. So it kind of depends on which aspect of environmental sciences you're interested in. But sorry?
No, nothing. Sorry.
Also, ESS you can't take at higher level, and biology you can take at higher level. So it might be something that's worth considering as well. But I think geography and bio is a great combo, or ESS and economics, or ESS and global politics. I think it is a bit of a shame that there's such a big overlap between geography and ESS. But at the end of the day, you should look at the different courses, also go to the subject fair tomorrow for ESS. And if you think that those subjects are the ones that you're most interested in, then go for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, any other questions?
Can I ask something about the link you sent us?
Yep.
It starts at like 1 minute and 25 seconds. Is that for a reason, or?
Yeah, it was mostly so it fitted into the presentation. You're more than welcome to show it, see it from the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
It was just to, yeah, no, it's a good question. Any other questions? Just going to share, here is William, and why he thinks geography is great, and then you're going to get Lily in a second.
And how our geography exam will look like?
Sorry, Martin, can you repeat your question?
How our geography exams will look like in the end?
Okay. So that's also where geography and ESS is a bit different, where geography has more of a essay-like questions. So it's split up into 3 papers, where one of the papers focus on the different themes that we cover. The second paper focuses on the core part of the syllabus, and then paper 3 is for higher level. Do you have any specific questions in relation to it, Martin?
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, of course.
Somebody said that we'd be doing more environmental geography, and I mean, I thought you said that it would be like kind of both, and I was just like not sure what we're going to be doing in the end. Like, well, I mean,
yeah,
will it
no,
be
thank you
like
for asking.
half, or?
I think one of the great strengths of geography is that it is a holistic subject that kind of tries to approach the study of the world in a holistic manner. And that also makes it very hard to divide things into human geography, environmental geography, physical geography, and geoinformatics, which is like more of the looking at maps. I would say that it is like probably 50-50 human geography and environmental geography. Like it is very little physical geography there is in the course unless you choose the themes that focus on it. But I can kind of try to go back to the to where I showed the syllabus. 2 seconds.
Okay, I was just curious because like I wasn't sure like what I'm gonna do in university, and so I wanted to like to keep it as broad as possible, like, and not just do like specific environmental geography, because I think human geography will be like more beneficial if I'm not sure what I want to do.
Yep, no, that makes a lot of sense. So kind of just a quick recap. You can see my screen now, right?
Yeah.
Yep, great. So the population distributions and changing populations is almost exclusively human geography, whereas the 2 later ones are more environmental / human geography. Most of higher level extension is human geography, except a bit of the last part. So it also depends on whether you do standard level or higher level. I would say
Yeah,
that
I'm going to
geography
be
is
doing higher level.
okay. But I would say no matter what, like what you decide to study afterwards in university, geography is a very good subject to get a better idea of basically how the world works. And geography you can use in a really powerful way if you then decide to study political science or economics or development afterwards. But also the other way around, if you decide to study something that's more focused on the environmental and natural science aspect. So the diversity of what geography can offer is something that you can really use in university afterwards.
Yeah, that's why I chose it. Thank you.
Very welcome. So I shared the 3 links with you that I would highly recommend you guys to watch. I don't think you will be able to get the links after we shut down this session. So I recommend you guys to just click all the links and open them in your browser, and then you can watch them afterwards. Any other questions? All of you also very welcome to shoot me an email if you have any questions afterwards. I'll be happy to either just chat with you over mail, or we can have a conversation about it via Google Meet as we're using now. So yeah, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes, so you guys are free to leave. But if you want to ask any questions or just talk to me personally, you can just stay. But have a great day, and I hope to either see you in class or out and around on campus.
Goodbye. And I'm really excited to start your class.
Great, it's good to hear.
Bye. Thank you for
Very welcome.
Thank you very much for the informative meeting. Looking forward to having this class.
Great, I look forward to see you there, Martin.